Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Dithmini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Sarath Fonseca resigns from the Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security. Rauf Hakim appointed to the vacant position. Opposition leader reveals government's attempt to appoint coordinator for district secretariats.
අපි මේ ක්‍රියාවත් ආණ්ඩුකාරවරයාගේ සම්බන්ධීකරණයට පත් කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාවත් අභියෝගයට ලක් කරන්නට කටයුතු කරනවා.
Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security says it will not recommend privatizing Sri Lanka Telecom as matters sensitive to national security could be exposed. Tea leaves prices drop. Heavy rainfall expected today. Dengue risk also on the rise.
Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca resigned from the Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security. MP Rauf Hakim has been appointed to the vacant position. Moving on to a headline-making story, Sri Lanka's opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said the government is attempting to appoint a state officer for the coordination between the governor and the local government institutes.
The Ministry Secretary issued a circular stating that a representative of the chairman of the Divisional Coordinating Committee to be appointed to the coordinating efforts. You have amended it and we appreciate it. However, now a new circular has been issued for the appointment of a new representative or development officer for the governor's coordination efforts. In order to exercise the existing powers, we already have the local government commissioner, urban commissioner and local government secretaries. There need not be any new appointment. You have amended the first circular at a time when we have challenged it in court. We are not prepared to change our methods. We will take this new matter to the court as well. Instead of resorting to cowardice, call for the local government election to be held and thus the issue will be solved.
තිරසර විසඳුමක් ජනවරමින් ජනතා ආශිර්වාදයෙන් ලැබෙනවායි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ මතක් කරන්නට කැමතියි.
The Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security says it will not recommend to privatize Sri Lanka Telecom as matters sensitive to national security could be exposed.
Further privatization would expose the strategic communication infrastructure sensitive material to private entities with profit-making agendas that could be a threat to national security. Therefore, we do not recommend privatizing Sri Lanka Telecom. We should not allow any terrorist, extremists, their supporters or anyone who has been blacklisted to have access to purchase any such asset as well as control over national assets. The primary shares that affect national security should be retained. Strategic infrastructure needs to be protected. The government can dispose of other shares with the consent of the primary shareholders whilst strictly following the state regulations for a private-public partnership. By doing so, the state will make profits. The national security can also be assured.
In more local news, Sri Lankan authorities have recovered the body of a 5-year-old boy who had died under suspicious circumstances from opposite a construction site in Halbarava, Malabe.
Sri Lanka police said that a call was received via the police emergency hotline on Thursday evening, and a team was rushed to the location where officers found the body of the child. Police said the child was aged 5 years and 6 months and was found bleeding with lacerations. Sri Lanka police said that the parents of the child were separated and the mother had left for work on Thursday afternoon. It is reported that the boy had died while under the care of his grandparents. The magistrate's examination and the coroner's site examination were conducted on Thursday, and Sri Lanka police said the body was moved to the Mullaeriyawa hospital for the post-mortem examination.
Provincial level action plans to reduce the number of children in orphanages in Sri Lanka and to create alternative care methods were presented to provincial secretaries during an event chaired by State Minister of Women and Child Affairs Geeta Kumarasinghe.
Regardless of the race, children are children and we cannot rid ourselves of the responsibility towards them. Mothers leave their children and go overseas to earn. Mothers with children over 2 years of age can leave. I requested the President to increase the age to 4 or 5 years. When we look at our budget and the funds we get, it is shocking. I go to various places begging for funds. Sometimes I go asking for sanitary pads for women and distribute it to remote areas. You'll be surprised, but children of remote areas in Galle have not even seen sanitary pads. The Education Ministry should educate children regarding this. They are unaware.
The Public Health Inspectors Union of Sri Lanka says mosquito eradication programs will recommence surrounding schools. The Public Health Inspectors Union Secretary Shanaka Indunil Bopitiya said the programs will be carried out with the technical support and supervision of PHI officers.
PHI officers intervened to clean schools prior to the commencement of exams as well. Initially, mosquito breeding grounds in school were destroyed and dengue eradication programs were carried out in high-risk areas. PHI officers were not able to go to those areas during the conduct of the exams. Principals had taken steps to clean schools continuously with parents during this time.
41,883 dengue cases have been reported from Sri Lanka so far this year. The highest number of patients were reported from the Gampaha district. Health reports said the Colombo and Kaluthara districts reported the most number of dengue cases after Gampaha. A special discussion was held at the Narahenpita Divisional Secretariat regarding dengue eradication programs at all schools in Colombo zone. Minister of Education Dr. Susil Premajayantha, Divisional Secretariats, principals and several officers in charge of police attended the discussion. The implementation of a special cleaning program surrounding schools on Saturday and Sunday was discussed during the meeting.
Schools were closed for over 2 weeks and only exam centers were operating. When schools reopen, rainwater has collected for 2 weeks and the surroundings are not clean. So we have gathered the school community to clean the schools this weekend. The CMC, PHI officers and police will promptly get rid of the waste collected to keep the schools clean. Although it will start this weekend, it should be carried out once a week in schools until the situation is brought under control. We issued directives to carry out the program in cities with dengue cases across the island. We started this at the 144 schools in Colombo as a coordinated program to set an example.
The Department of Meteorology forecasts heavy showers above 100 millimeters in the Sabaragamu province and in the Galle, Matara, Kaluthara and Colombo districts.
The Department of Meteorology said the southwest monsoon has established over the island. The Met Department forecast showers or thunder showers in the western and Sabaragamu provinces, the Galle, Matara, Kandy and Nuwara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in Uva province and in the Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or night. Strong winds about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in northern and north central provinces and in Hambantota, Puttalam and Trincomalee districts.
Landslide warnings have been issued to several divisional secretariats in the Kandy, Kegalle and Nuwara districts. Moving on to more local news, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka has noted that the country must protect the right to freedom of expression.
US Ambassador Julie Chung said that at the core of every democracy is the right to freedom of expression for every citizen. She further added, quote, "The protection of this fundamental right must continue to be a cornerstone of Sri Lanka's efforts to rebuild a stable, secure and prosperous future for all Sri Lankans." End quote.
In an interview with CGTN, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the port city strengthens China-Sri Lanka ties.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the Colombo port city is going to be a major investment zone as it will serve the country to export and carry out transactions with the international community.
Colombo port city development is a major step forward for which China has been taken the initiative, supported Sri Lanka. Colombo is the capital of Sri Lanka, the commercial capital for over 500 years. So internationally, it is important for Sri Lanka. Colombo port city is part of Colombo city, which is also therefore very important. And over the years, Chinese investment and Chinese development plans has made once the area that was full of seawater in today to an island where buildings are coming up as a port city development. The president has given highest priority to a financial hub. So it is going to be a major investment zone which will be connected to internal development zones in Sri Lanka, which will use the port city development as export and transactions with the international community.
Fitch Ratings says weak operating conditions for Sri Lankan insurers raise near-term downside risks to their credit profiles.
In a report titled Sri Lankan Insurers Operating Risks Intensify, Fitch says that operating risks have risen due to the sovereign's deteriorated credit profile and the resultant lowering of the national ratings of some state-owned and private sector institutions. The negative rating actions on Sri Lanka's sovereign since 2022 and various financial institutions underscore the risk to domestic insurers whose investment portfolios are dominated by fixed income securities issued or guaranteed by the government and deposits and securities issued by local banks, non-bank financial institutions and corporations. Fitch believes the sparse foreign currency liquidity in the local banking system could limit insurers' ability to meet foreign currency obligations. Fitch also believes the heightened investment risks and earnings pressure could affect insurers' regulatory capita profiles.
The Minister of Agriculture says a shipment of 20,000 metric tons of urea will arrive in Sri Lanka tomorrow. Agriculture Secretary Gunadasa Samarasinghe said another shipment of 11,250 metric tons of urea will arrive in Sri Lanka over the next few days.
Agriculture Secretary Gunadasa Samarasinghe said the requirement of urea fertilizer for the Yala season will be fulfilled with the arrival of the urea shipments. The Agriculture Secretary said there are sufficient stocks of Bandi fertilizer for Yala season. He said the fertilizer required for the Yala season will be distributed without any shortage. The Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture added that 60% of the vouchers issued to farmers for purchasing fertilizers have been distributed.
Despite facing a plethora of issues, the agriculture community are making great efforts to make Sri Lanka self-sufficient. Yet the rulers of the land have not been able to solve the issues they face.
Farmers from Dehiyatta Kandiya commence Yala season cultivation. However, they allege they are yet to receive sufficient amount of fertilizer. This has posed a greater burden on the local farmers. Farmers in Uhuna Ampara are also facing the same issue. They said that it is time to add the Bandi fertilizer. However, they are yet to receive the fertilizer subsidies.
The price of tea leaves has dropped rapidly. National organizer of the Federation of Small-Scale Tea Estate Owners, Lal Premnath, said tea planters are severely burdened due to the price reduction.
The amount received by small tea estate owners for raw leaves has dropped to 100 to 120 rupees. Around 1 or 2 years ago, especially during the coronavirus pandemic and when tea production reduced globally, the price of raw tea leaves had increased to over 400 rupees. At the time, fertilizer prices have increased by around 10,000 to 12,000 rupees. As a result, small-scale tea estate owners are facing difficulties and are unable to continue with the tea industry.
News First inquired with Chairman of the Tea Small Holdings Development Authority, Tushara Priyadarshana.
With the depreciation of the rupee, small-scale tea estate owners and tea leaf suppliers benefited. The price of tea leaves has dropped with the rupee strengthening again. There is a comparative drop in prices in the up-country, low-country and mid-level areas. There are also benefits to the rupee appreciating. The price of fertilizer, which increased to 20,000 to 30,000 rupees, has now reduced to 9,500, 10,000, 13,000 and 14,000 rupees based on the type of fertilizer. This will continue under the current situation because the dollar is around 300 rupees.
A debate took place in Parliament today regarding organic fertilizer imported from China and nano-nitrogen fertilizer imported from India.
A heated exchange broke out in Parliament over the organic fertilizer shipment from China and nano-nitrogen fertilizer from India.
චීන කාබනික පොහොර සඳහා ඇමරිකානු ඩොලර් මිලියන
6.9 million US dollars was paid for organic fertilizer from China. We didn't get fertilizer, or the funds and steps haven't been taken to encash the bank guarantee to cover the loss to the country. When will steps be taken to cover the loss to the country under the bribery and commission procedure? An order was placed for liquid nano-nitrogen fertilizer from India in an incorrect manner, and 2.1 million litres of nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer was obtained from Gujarat, India through Indian Farmer Fertilizer Corporation. 500 milliliters of it is sold for $3.23 in India, but Sri Lanka purchased it for $12.45. An additional 1,867 rupees was paid above the retail price in India. The additional expense is 7.8 billion. What is the government saying regarding the nano-nitrogen fertilizer scam?
බිලියන 7.8. එතකොට මේ නැනෝ නයිට්‍රජන් පොහොර වංචාව ගැන මොකද්ද රජය කියන්නේ?
When talking of the fertilizer scam during the term of the past government, our representation is a parliamentary privilege. There is no definite answer regarding the expenses and scam, because it is the same group of thieves, so they cannot respond. Someone with a backbone should say they'll at least find those responsible and reveal the truth. We can only raise the matter from the opposition. These funds belong to the people. Even the Deputy Speaker should be responsible to make a statement stating those responsible will be revealed and arrested if the taxpayers' money has been misused through fertilizer shipments or in any other way. Various responses have been given and necessary steps are being taken. The government hasn't given a proper response. When the incident took place, new ministers said they'll look into it and punish those responsible. This fertilizer is 2,500 million. They are covering it to protect those responsible. The government has to respond. When a scam is revealed, don't say thank you. Mahindananda said a minister from a district committed this fraud. Who is responsible? If there is a person responsible, whether it is officials or someone else, we will take steps in this regard. If you go on about it, we will not be able to continue the agenda. You cannot conduct an investigation within seconds. The Chief Government Whip responded, so don't make the House uncomfortable. Make use of this opportunity. We can recover the stolen money and strengthen the farmers of the country. That is why we are raising the matter.
The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau held a media awareness program regarding the licensing system yesterday. When we issue a sand permit, we look to uplift the living standards of those people, and we should choose low-income earners. In the past, it was given to a limited group of people, whether it was in Hambantota or Trincomalee. It was the same group of people like a sand mining mafia. We are trying to get out of the mafia and implement a system. So we are getting a lot of threats and criticism. But the aim of the subject minister is to issue sand permits to low-income earners and Samruddhi beneficiaries by creating a cooperative procedure and establishing committees and organizations. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa told Parliament on Thursday that he does not approve all that was done by his late father. He was speaking during a debate on trade union leaders. Divakara Athugala, the General Secretary of the Insurance General Employees Union, was transferred from Colombo to Kalabana on the 5th of June 2023 for using the office email facility. I request the Prime Minister to reverse that decision. When attempts are being made to privatize the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation and when a trade union leader speaks against it, is your response simply to transfer that person to Kalabana? I am pleased to see that the opposition leader is taking a stand for the trade union leaders. I am also surprised of it as well. During the administration of his late father, all trade union leaders were fired.
When 83,000 employees were to demand for a minor raise in their pay, they were all sent home. Just because he was my father does not mean I approve all what he did. We will continue to take forward the positive programs that he introduced, and the shortcomings will be cast aside. I do not know if your son is one who does all what you do. I am not a person like that. I am an independent person. Just because I am the son of Ranasinghe Premadasa does not mean I have to approve everything that he did. Keep that in mind. I have an independent mind and a conscience. Just because you said that he did some things to trade union leaders, should I follow the same path? Is that what you are saying? You can follow a path you desire. That is not an issue for us. I also request you to follow the correct path. At one time, they termed the president as the person who looted the central bank. I will not say that he is good after he became the president.
The LOLC Divisavya program that aims to support the education of Sri Lankan children continued in the Badulla district today.
The LOLC Divisavya program gives school books and stationery equipment to the most impoverished students in the country, ensuring a brighter future for them. This birthday initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. Today, many students in the Badulla and Passara education zones of the Badulla district were gifted school books and stationery equipment under the LOLC Divisavya program. The Divisavya program was carried out at the Parahettiya Primary Vidyalaya, Mahathana Primary Vidyalaya, Vettalava Primary Vidyalaya and several other schools in the Badulla education zone. The LOLC Divisavya program will continue to ensure a better future for all school children in Sri Lanka.
The Sri Lankan athletics team that won many awards at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championships in South Korea returned to the island on Friday.
Sri Lanka was represented by 8 athletes at the 20th Asian Under-20 Athletics Championship. Sri Lanka won a total of 5 medals and was placed 7th in the overall rankings that featured 45 countries.
Our popular talk show Newsline will be telecast tonight at 8:30 p.m. on Dialogue TV and Pure TV as usual. However, due to our coverage of the Cricket World Test Championship final, Newsline will not be telecast on our terrestrial TV1 channel. That's a wrap of the lunchtime news. Join us again at 9 p.m. for primetime news on TV1.